from the Arizona Cardinals, Dennis Gardak, has been activated off the PUP list. In some more somber injury news, third-round pick Caleb Ransaw suffered a shoulder injury and is considered week to week. Offensive lineman Cole Van Lanen will miss the remainder of training camp, also with a shoulder injury. The Jumbo Shrimp are back in action this evening in VyStar Ballpark for Game 4 of their series with the Columbus Clippers. After taking the first 3 games in the series, they'll try to keep the streak going tonight. First pitch at 7:05. It's 93 degrees at 2 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, Lauren Brooks, Taylor Dahl, and Tom McManus. This is
Helmets and Heels.
Helmets and Heels on 1010XL.
Well, we are here. It's a Friday. Happy Friday, the final day of Tom McManus's birthday long week celebration.
Mardi Gras / birthday week. Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And Lauren Brooks is not here. Lauren Brooks is on vacation doing some scalloping, so I hope she's having a good time. But RJ Saunders is here. Tom McManus is here. I am here. And so we're going to chat a lot of Jaguars today, Tommy, because scrimmage tonight, and we've kept hearing those words, mock game, which we'll get to some of the things maybe we are hoping to hear or see or whatever they may take out of this. Okay. And we have some sound also from Grant Udinski and some other guys on what also may be seen in this. But I want to get to some of the Jaguars news first that has recently happened in the last couple days since we did not have a show yesterday due to the Jaguars programming. Mm-hmm. So the starting one, the Jaguars have activated linebacker Dennis Gardak from the PUP list. So that's one that I think that we had the conversations when he got put on PUP, Tommy, that we were kind of bummed about that because we did want to be able to see him in camp and some of the things of where he fits, what kind of, we talk about the linebackers in general and what that room will look like. But Gardak, does this change anything for you for this next couple weeks in camp of what you may see in that linebacker?
Well, listen, we know he's good on special teams, like really good on special teams, so that's great. But we also know that he can come off the edge and rush the passer. I think he had, 3 sacks in one game with the Cardinals last year?
Yeah, and that was the sacks.
Yeah, was that the total?
I think he had 3 last year, but he had 6 the year before.
6 the year before. Mm-hmm. So, listen, you can never have too many good pass rushers that can get after it. Where he plays in base, I've heard Sam, but, I'd like to see him do that. But he's we've only seen him like one day.
Yeah.
He's built for it. He's a stocky guy. We saw him running around, to make sure that knee was ready to go. They're testing it out. He looks like he can move around. I'm assuming that he loves football or they wouldn't have brought him in. He's that kind of guy. So, yeah, I think, I don't know about how much we'll see tonight. You hear what Udinski says. We heard it earlier about, it'll be like a practice. But I texted Tony early because I just wanted to know. I'm like, is this a mock game like we used to do? Because that wasn't like full speed at all. Yeah. And he said, look, it's
yours was more like a simulation almost.
Like a simulation. Yeah, good call. It was more like that. And Baselli is like, no, it's going to be full speed to thud, which means it's not full tackling to the ground. Nobody's going to get hurt, that type of thing, knock on wood. But there should be some good pop. And now, I don't know full speed, it's not going to be game speed.
Yeah.
But what they mean by the mock game is these situational things they'll put them in, 4-minute, 2-minute, things, short yardage,
to just get that timing down. And, and Udinski, we'll hear from him in a little bit, too. He does kind of go through that of getting just used to the game day timing of everything from the locker room to the tunnel to the warm-ups to those situational 2 minutes, halftime, all of those type of things. And so that is, to your point, you will see some thuds, which we want to see that right now, too. If you're not getting full tackling, at least we'll get a little bit of that. When you were talking about Dennis Gardak, one of the things that I said, when somebody leaves another team, and you can go to that fan base's Twitter or whatever it is, how they react is usually some sort of indication of what that player, not saying they were fantastic, but a lot of times if you go, you can say, like, if a player's like, oh, thank God he's gone, then it's probably not not going to be at least somebody that's going to add too much to your team. From everything I saw from Gardak, if I could say anything, it's that this team loved what he brought when it came to energy, when it came to just when he was having to be out there. And they kind of moved him around. He was outside linebacker the last couple of seasons. Before that, they shifted him and he played all over. So it is interesting to see that Sam linebacker, which we've talked about a lot. So if it came down, if you were to name right now, what few guys would you say are in competition for that Sam spot?
Well, listen, I think Foyer's our Mike for sure. And then I would think Ventrell's my Will, but I know they've tried Lloyd there as well. I think Lloyd's more of Devin Lloyd's a Sam. Like, I want to see him come off the edge.
Yeah, me too.
And he can hold the force. You know, he's strong enough to hold that force against tight ends and sometimes tackles in the running game. So I want to see that. But I do want to see Gardak more just rushing.
Me too.
Like, if he's that kind of guy, like, then okay, man, we could get really creative with different packages. And if he's in there and he's different than the other guys, you know, he's a little bit smaller, but he's quicker. You know, he's harder to block. It's like a change of pace back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. I'm interested to see that. Abdullah's been out there. You know, they put him out there early at that Sam position. So I think Lloyd right now, I mean, unless they end up playing him at will, I just don't think, I don't see Ventrell as a Sam. You know, like you got to bang that tight end.
Yeah.
You know, and now look, when they do the over, you know, under, or if they still do that, Sam's not always on the ball on the tight end. Sometimes he's off the ball too, but the majority of the time he's on there.
Yeah.
You know, and
the Sam you're seeing a lot less too, so that I guess factors in a lot of times too of who you want on the field in those situations, because you're probably not going to see your Sam linebacker as much.
Well, they say 30% you play base. So the other times you're playing nickel, so Sam's out, so DB comes in, and then you play dime. Well, the other backer's out, and another DB comes in. So, you know, I think it will be interesting to see who the starting nickel is. And I don't think Gardak would be in the running for that. I think he would be more like rushing off the edge on third down or passing down.
That definitely seems like how he had been used, especially the last couple seasons where he had 9 sacks in 2 seasons. And I wouldn't say he's just that true full-on like sack getter, but he's really good at creating pressures and getting in the quarterback's face, which I think is important. And even if you're not tallying high sack numbers, being able to kind of like create some chaos in the back is what he seems like he's good at. He's also a very, very good tackler is another thing you read about him, which is something that was lacking in a lot of areas last year on this team when it came to that missed tackle percentage. So you want guys who can do that. It sounds basic. I feel like when you say that, like you're like, you got to be able to tackle.
No,
but
right. Linebackers should tackle.
You should know how to do that.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So that was one of the moves, obviously. And then offensive lineman Cole Van Lannon out for training camp with a shoulder injury. What are your first thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I like Cole too, man. He's a quality lineman. He showed that he can start at right tackle at least last year. I thought he held down the fort pretty well when called upon. He's been playing mostly on the left side. I think he could play guard if he had to. He's just kind of a gritty type. He might not wow you, you know, in different things. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's really strong in the weight room. I have no idea. But he's a gamer, and he's a gritty player. So they're going to have to figure that out. You know, obviously with Walker Little, it's, you know, he's struggling in practice. I will say that. But that, you know, I don't know where you panic just yet. I tell you what, Taylor, I don't know how you feel, but I want to see Chuma Edoga at left tackle.
Yeah,
I think that look, he's played right.
He can play all over. That's one of the reasons they brought him here.
And why not?
Yeah.
I mean, look, no disrespect to Fred. And here's the thing. When the games start, and if Fred Johnson turns out to be a gamer, you know what I mean? And just really you can see the difference that, well, wait a minute. Maybe he does need more time with the ones and see if he can get comfortable and that type of thing. But if that's not the case, you got to figure out something.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that get rid of Walker and bench him. I'm not saying that, but give somebody that's really gonna make a run at it and push it. Because right now, I don't think Fred's ahead of. I think Walker's the solidified left tackle at this time. At least that's the way it looks.
Which it does feel like that. And last year, obviously, he got the contract extension in the middle of the season, but that wasn't this regime who did that. So they don't have, I don't think, as much loyalty as maybe some of that coaching staff and regime had previously to Walker Little. But at this point, that means if you're not seeing really good things out of Walker Little and you don't feel like they're really giving anybody a true shot at that left tackle, that's a little concerning because that means that they don't feel like anybody can even battle someone that's struggling right now in practice.
Yeah, look, you got to see them against, the first preseason game, then Miami. You got to see those things to really get a full assessment. But they got to have in the back of their mind, okay, maybe we need to figure. Just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case. There's not we got to do it right now, but it's more of maybe we should, get that bullpen ready.
Yeah.
Just in case we're going to need somebody.
Another injury we saw is Caleb Ransaw. He's week to week with a lower body injury, something I definitely don't want to see. I liked some of the stuff early on I've seen out of Caleb Ransaw. Yeah. That's one of those rooms, Tommy, that we've talked a lot about in the safety room of the true competitions that we've been seeing out at camp between those guys. And so that one's kind of a bummer for me because I do think that, especially as a rookie, you want to be out there as much as possible and kind of learning everything. And he's switching from the corner position to safety position. So that one's kind of a bummer for me when it comes. It's week to week, so, it doesn't seem like anything too bad. But
he was making plays, too. Yeah. Like, every day he was making another play. Like, oh, there's 27 again. Oh, there's 27 again. Like, so you felt like, okay, he's getting it. Like, he's seeing the field well. He's making plays on the ball. He was breaking some passes up. So you could see that why they drafted him so high. He's very athletic. He can bring the heat as far as hitting. He's a physical guy. It's tough when you get injured, man. Yeah. It sucks. No matter how small it is, you're off the field and you're trying. He knows he's going to be on the team, obviously, but he wants to start. Who doesn't? Everybody wants to start. But what does that mean? That means Antonio Johnson, man. You got to, hey, Savage, of course, Wingard, they're there too, but Antonio, you've had a good camp. And I don't know. Look, it's funny how some players get benefits of the doubt of the past regime's coaching, and some players don't. I feel like Antonio doesn't get that. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't get he was under Nielsen too.
Yeah.
But, if he could put it all together, he could be a special safety.
Which again, towards camp so far, we have seen that from Antonio Johnson. We've seen a pick from Antonio Johnson. Yeah. We've seen a lot of good plays. We've talked about in general that stickiness, the coverage we've seen from the DBs in general. And so that's been one of the more positive things. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, Tommy. So we talked about just those when it comes to Cole Van Lanen, Caleb Bransaw. We know Patrick McCarry's been dealing with an injury. Buster Brown's been dealing with an injury. Eric Armstead hasn't been practicing. With those names right there of guys who have been injured or just not being able to practice, who do you think has benefited the most? And I hate saying that in the term because you don't want to see guys get hurt, but there's guys behind these waiting to have their shot. Is there a specific guy that you think, because of one of those injuries or someone not practicing, they're getting a better look?
Jordan Jefferson would be a guy, and I hope he can really turn it on. I think he's okay. He's it's not like you see him getting blocked or pushed down or around, that kind of thing. You just haven't seen him. It's hard with your defensive tackle without, even when you're in pads, it's not a full speed.
There's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do, but he's got an opportunity. I mean, listen, straight up truth. In 95, I'm on the low end of the totem pole, and I only got, now granted, I started making some things in practice and, some hits and short yardage and goal line and that. But a couple guys got injured in front of me, and I just had more opportunity.
Yeah.
And you just got to be ready and make the most of that opportunity. So whatever position it is, you don't want your teammate to get hurt, obviously.
Yeah. Definitely
not. You got to take advantage of when those opportunities show up. Yeah, right. Yeah. You don't get many. You don't get many.
Yeah, so a lot more Jaguars I want to get to, and I do want to talk a little bit more about the scrimmage, maybe some of the things that we may expect to see, but just to remind people, 6 to 8:30 is the times they're putting on there. Fans can enter at 5 o'clock. The warm-ups and everything is going to start at 6 o'clock. Seems like around 7, the official scrimmage will start and go to around 8:30. We just mentioned that mock kind of feel, maybe a simulation type feel is what you're expecting tonight. But your tickets and parking will all be loaded into your app. But I did want to remind people that you're going to enter through the Gallagher West Club. Because of construction right now, things are a little crazy. So that's where everybody will enter. So just remember that when you get down to the stadium. And I hope everybody does have a good time, because I know this is the first glimpse of football for some of the people out there. Yep. But let's get to Tommy's takeaways next, and then we'll also hear from Grant Udinski and talk a little bit about the offense.